It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background, I'm going to say it's the people of Springfield, Ohio, dining on cat Haitian style. Am I right about that?
You're very close. I'm at a spice store.
Okay.
It turns out that it's a Haitian spice store. So.
Oh yeah, how nice. So Tim, I got to tell you, I was in a good, horrible mood right after the debate, which I didn't even want to watch. And I know some people who thought Harris was going to face plant. I never thought she would. I thought she'd be able to spit out her lines, and I thought Trump would. I mean, as soon as she mentioned crowd size, you knew that he was going to go there. I mean, he's such an easy mark. But I was actually feeling good in the last day or so, because I thought the whole thing might turn on how bad the media was to what ABC. I mean, even to the point where ABC shamed itself so much that Channel 7 Cheryl Burton is starting to look like a journalist. I mean, that's how bad it was for ABC. But just like, and we're recording this on late Thursday afternoon. There's the latest polls, Morning Consult, Reuters, Ipsos, 47-42 for Harris. Now, I don't know if those are as good as like New York Times, CNN when that next one comes out, but that's after the debate. And then Trump was saying, the latest thing was saying is he's not agreeing there are going to be no more debates. And, I know I plagiarize a lot from John Podhoretz here. I saw a tweet of his says, oh, he's absolutely going to debate. And I'm thinking it's got to be because Trump realizes he's behind now. And I bet those betting odds you're going to tell me about are not too good either.
No, they are not. Trump was 5 points ahead going into the debate. And out of the debate, he was 5 points behind. So there was a full 10-point shift in the betting odds during the debate.
I mean,
however, the good news is it's only she's only leading by 3 now. So it is so the bump is over. So the debate bump is over.
Of course, I'm never able to understand this. Well, forget the betting odds. I can understand how that would change, but how the polling changes and it fluctuates, which it seems like a lot to me. I know, there's the margin of error, but it just, because I always wonder about, who are these people who are undecided? And actually they give me a little bit of hope, because after the debate and Marco Rubio gets up there on Fox, and, I voted for him in the primary in 2016. And he quickly outlines all the problems with Harris, which Trump actually did in his closing statement by the time nobody was watching anymore. He actually finally got around to stop chasing the cats.
Well, that was the only thing he probably rehearsed. Everything else, I think, was off the cuff, and she was counting on that.
Oh my goodness!
What they needed to do is they needed to do a mock debate, and they needed to get like a real nasty woman, like get Kathy Griffin or something like that, to play Kamala Harris, and just insult him with all the standard things that they run at him, and give him responses for each one. So when she says Charlottesville, you say Snopes discredited that. When she says that was the very fine people one.
But here's the problem. I mean, he was saying things that were true, and he was being fact checked on that. I mean, the New Yorker, which prides itself on fact checking, that's what the New Yorker is all about, getting the facts right. Somebody from the New Yorker said, "Oh, there's no way that she said that people with detainees in prison should be getting federally funded sex changes." And in fact, she did say that. And so, I mean, so he's up a creek no matter what happens, even when he's
right. And it would have been great is he could have said, you wouldn't know that if you rely on this guy here for your weekly news, your daily news.
That's what I wanted. You are the expert. we got to rely, because you have admitted in the past, much to your shame, that you watch David Muir and you watch the ABC News. So your view of what he and his colleague did on Tuesday night.
That's exactly like the evening news. I mean, there was absolutely no difference. It's what did the not Media Matters, the other one, the conservative Media Matters. I can't, the name's eluding me right now. Did a study and they found out that it was 100% positive, 100% positive for Kamala, and 93% negative for President Trump on ABC World News tonight.
And that the female moderator is sorority sisters with the president of ABC News or something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of incest going on there. I mean, look, and Trump supposedly, and of course I'm too gullible, but taking this with a grain of salt, I saw a tweet that there's a whistleblower at ABC that says that she got the questions ahead of time, and not only that she was told that she wouldn't be fact checked. I mean, I'll believe that when I see that one. But
I would not be surprised that she got the questions in advance.
The problem is that it wasn't like they were going to ask Trump.
No.
Give us the quadratic equation. Go. No, I mean, these are all questions. Negative b plus or minus the square root. No, everybody knew what the questions were going to be. Now,
I could have given her the correct questions in advance. Now that I think about it,
yeah. I mean, so now, the first question, I actually thought, because I'm watching it in real time, and I thought, all right, they asked her the first question. It was one that everybody should have known, but it's the tough question. It's the reason that Trump should get elected, and that was, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And of course, she dodged the whole question.
She went into her log cabin story. It was, I was born in a middle class family.
I was born a poor Indian Jamaican child. But and she didn't answer the question. Now, I would have, if I had been up there, I would have said, first off, the jerk store called and they ran at you. Then what I would have thought of something, it would have been, oh, yeah, maybe this is something you'll understand, Madam Prosecutor. Objection, non-responsive. I'm going to ask that answer be stricken from the record. Answer the question, Madam Vice President, because you didn't answer it.
No, and she used it. I don't know if you noticed, she told the log cabin story twice. She actually, there was a question later in the debate. She responded with the log cabin story again.
She's on a continuous loop. Well, that she's, she's the Harris 2024 model that, could start skipping, could start imploding like Hell 9000 at some point if you pull the plug on her. But she got through it and he didn't. And I mean, there were other factual errors too. I mean, I loved it when David Muir said, oh no, the FBI crime stats show that, crimes are down. And Trump actually got that right. He said, no, you're wrong about that. But they fact checked that. Oh, then of course there was the abortion one where, no way that
nobody's executing babies. Yeah.
No. In fact, and he even at first said West Virginia. He corrected it to Virginia, and that's what Northam did. So it was stacked against him. I thought, well, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the media. I mean, it's built in. But then the last day or two, I was thinking, maybe this is just, especially in the swing states where the people are trying to decide, what's good for them and actually want some substance. How gullible are these people going to be? But apparently to the tune of 47-42 right now, and a swing in the I
liked where when Trump brought up the cats, as David Muir said, well, I talked to the city manager reports there's no
right. And then Trump said, well, I saw this on the news. Okay. And this is what I'm going to ask you. This is one of those stories where, I've seen it going around and I don't want to look into it that closely. Tim Foyle, are they eating cats in Springfield, Ohio? Are they doing it?
I have no idea. It's an article came out today from a very suspicious source that said that yes, it's part of the Haitian Christmas celebration. They said that
Okay.
a Christmas without a cat is like Thanksgiving without a turkey. So I don't know. It's have you seen the conspiracy about her earrings?
Yes, and I know I didn't believe that for a second. Not at 1 second.
Yeah. It
You
doesn't
believe that one?
I don't care. It's irrelevant. You know,
Well, first of all, I mean,
if she was getting prompts, so what? I
I
mean,
don't care.
that's
Look, I think
we've
they should
got a
have.
president. We got a president that's been getting prompts for the past three and
Right.
a half
Hey,
years.
as far as I'm concerned, make it an open book test. Let everybody have their iPad there. As a matter of fact, you could be sitting on somebody's lap, and they could have the guys, Willie Brown's or something, and he could have his hand up her back, and he could be operating her mouth, talking.
Well,
But
it's been Jeff Dunham working Walter for the past 3.5 years.
okay, so yeah, that polling was that bugs me because I mean there's still plenty of time. I assume people will want her to be defined somehow, and they can portray her as the radical that she actually is. But that there's less and less time right now. What are you hopeful, or are you preparing to hunker
Yeah,
down in your
I don't.
basement with your
I don't
cats?
know. I don't know. I think he's going to win, but I don't think he's. Yeah, he might not win above the margin of cheat. So they might. They're
Interesting.
already printing. They're already printing ballots, and
All right. I see. I see. All right. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
So you know how those lids are, because this is, I'm just going to speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on the Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of it. So I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? So that was that conversation.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Yeah, we're going to Tim for his expertise. We did in the first block because he watches David Muir so that you don't have to. And then now we've got I actually, when I first saw this bit where they run the Seinfeld credits and the music and she's standing on stage, I must be wowed by like things like canned laughter and everything, because I thought, maybe it's not the best bit in the world, but lipstick on the cup, you don't want. I mean, do you think that was? And we got to be fair here. Was that funny?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, I mean,
I don't know.
It's
It's because I mean that's exactly like a Seinfeld bit. You know, the lipstick on the cup. You know, could I have a cup that maybe is in black or matches my lipstick? Huh?
Sure.
Yeah, it does sound like a Seinfeld. Spy Magazine did a piece year when Spy Magazine was in existence, where they had a list of Andy Rooney quotes interspersed with Jerry Seinfeld quotes, and you were supposed to try to pick
the
out
deal. Okay,
and you were trying to, and it wasn't as easy as you'd think.
No,
and they made the remark, it's Andy Rooney, crusty old 60 Minutes curmudgeon, Jerry Seinfeld, hip comedian.
Exactly.
Do they sound anything alike? Yeah, they do.
No, so I just thought, maybe she'd have to workshop it, polish it. It's she's not ready for the comedy club in Bolingbrook. Is that where you're going to be?
Yes, Bolingbrook all weekend, Friday and Saturday, 8 o'clock shows. CGsComedyClub.com.
Can I work in a plug? Can I work that in? So anyway, I just hey, do we have? Because I sent this to you just a little bit a while ago, Chris. Not the cover of the Atlantic, but the purported cover of the New Yorker. I don't know if it's a real cover of the New Yorker because I saw.
Is that the one with the one with the elephant in the cage?
That's the Atlantic. That
Okay.
shows Trump marching, bringing the circus to the Capitol Hill.
I love that picture. I think that picture is really cool.
No, I
Uh,
liked it too. That was, but here's the New Yorker. But I don't know that this is actually the New Yorker. I think it is, but I saw it on Twitter, and it's Lucy swiping the football away from Charlie Brown. Iconic. Except Lucy is Kamala, and Charlie Brown is Trump, and
that's not how Charles Schultz used to depict people of color.
well, here's one thing. I know that I think was based on Charles Schultz's ex-wife. Lucy was a vilified character. She was horrible.
Sure.
And Charlie Brown was a creature of sympathy. The New Yorker. I think the New Yorker's a little bit off on this one, if that is in fact the New Yorker.
Well, it's off maybe on what they're trying to portray, but that is 100%
exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if he has a second debate with her and that happens, then it's more apropos, because the whole point with Charlie Brown was that he kept falling for it over and over and over again. Although Trump has done this, at time and again. Like I said, I wasn't even surprised that at the way it turned out. Some people were shocked that Harris did as well as she did, but first of all, I don't think she did well. I just think she didn't look like a total nincompoop. She dissembled with the best of them.
She hit all the buttons. I mean, coming straight out and making fun of his rallies. I mean, you couldn't come up with a better opening than that.
No, I agree.
It just set him off through the whole thing, and he should have been ready for that. He likes to brag about the size of his rallies. You know what I noticed? You know what I noticed most, Bruce, is that she said "folks" about 5-6 times during the debate.
That must be Obama must be coaching her.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what the first time she said "folks," I said, "Oh, I know who's been coaching her." Sure. And if you remember, Obama made the crack about the size of his rallies, if you remember.
Okay.
And so that also was Obama's. I would wager a large sum of money that Obama was coaching her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trump is an easy mark. I was just kind of hoping that, the method for Trump is, as much as when they start ganging up on him, then we get defensive. It's just, are there enough people getting defensive? And then, you get to the substance of it. And
he was so calm during the Biden debate. I thought that he had like taken up yoga or something like that, or meditation, because he was so calm in that one and just let Biden go. And I thought he was going to employ the same strategy, but no,
apparently not. Okay, what else we got here? Let's we could switch over to this right now. So did you see this thing about Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins wide receiver? There was a traffic stop. He was speeding the other day before the game that the Dolphins were going to play. They have video of it. And of course, they're turning him into the next George Floyd.
Sure.
Which, here's the thing. When you first hear the story, they say he was going 100 in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. Well, actually, you could see the video, and they say it really came down to doing 60 in a 40, which is still, it's worse than doing 50 in a 30.
It's 50% over.
It's 50% over the speed limit. And here's the kicker, though. He's stopped by a 27-year veteran of the Miami police force who's Hispanic. Okay, so where is? One of the key ingredients.
Don't you remember George Zimmerman? He was
sure.
He was
Absolutely.
white. He was white Hispanic.
Right. He didn't even count. But this guy even has. This guy, when you hear him, he sounds a little. He sounds like he's got a Hispanic accent. And
everybody in Miami does.
Okay. Right. Sure.
except for the Jews. Otherwise,
exactly.
they got the New York. So it's either New York accent or a Hispanic accent.
Yeah.
Nobody has a Midwestern accent in Miami.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. I thought the police were excessive. However, especially because it's not as though Tyreek Hill was speeding while he was engaging in coitus to create his 7th child from a 5th woman. Whee! Oh boy! Now, would I be able to get that into evidence against him? It's just, Your Honor, it's just a pattern of excessiveness on this part. Excessive speed. He's 50%. I mean, who among us has not had 1 or 2 concubines who've produced children for us? I get it. It's just what men do. But Tyreek Hill.
But if you look at him, I mean, he's not really, he wasn't really dressed like a multi-million-dollar football player.
He was, but he's on his way. He's wearing the white T-shirt, sleeveless, right? But he's in a McLaren,
which is a wife beater, if I'm not mistaken.
No, exactly, and he's been accused of that too. I mean, I was going to say it, but I let you. Okay. So
yeah, but I mean, like I said, it had nothing to do with race. If he was a white guy in a McLaren looking like that, it still would have been okay. Who'd you steal it from? You know what I mean? It doesn't look like
no.
A white person in a McLaren, of course, wears the jaunty cap and
sure.
has the has the polo shirt.
Now, if he filed a civil suit, for damages, I think the defense against him would be, hey, you weren't hurt that much because you still wound up scoring a touchdown in the game a few hours later. I mean, I think he'd rebut that by saying, well, I would have scored 2. My mind was really on. And when he scored the touchdown, he actually, as part of his celebration, he mimed like being handcuffed, which is, so yeah, it was just a little one up. But you think he really wants a 27-year Hispanic member of the force to be fired for that? I mean, the cop probably should have just walked away, given him the citation and walked away. But I don't think this one has legs. There wasn't much rioting,
but they're trying to get it. They are trying to get the rioting started. It's I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's every little infraction is blown up, and I think David Muir wants riots.
So I'd love to close this segment on something I saw on Twitter. Is it immoral not to return a shopping cart? This is one of those great segment closers. You don't have to. There's no law on returning a shopping cart when it's in the, you put your groceries away. You want to put it.
You're talking about putting it in the corral, correct?
In the corral, right? You're not taking it home. You're not, like a homeless person.
Because when I was in Chicago, they actually had barricades up outside the Treasure Island so that you could not take the shopping cart home.
Right. So, but I mean, should you return it to the aisle, or where they keep the carts? Now, my rule is, if they don't provide enough of those stations there, and I'm like more than 25 yards away from it, I may just leave it.
Whose fault is it that you're 25 yards away?
Sometimes, you're not thinking. Look, I have a hard enough time remembering which aisle I'm in. And I got the color of the car. It's the same as every other car out there. I'm not driving a McLaren, buddy. And
I'll actually walk another 10 yards just to park next to a cart corral, because
I'm just a little worried that people will be taking those carts out and banging the side of my car, which there are enough dents in it already. There's so many factors that you got to get in. Okay, we'll leave that as an open question. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
Well, we just actually heard a 911 call from a citizen in Springfield earlier today that some of the immigrants in Springfield were capturing geese at the local pond, slaughtering them and killing them. Well, I mean, look, I don't know which what are the full spate of animals that are being consumed there in Springfield, but I know the geese are certainly among them. And we've heard reports from a number of constituents on the ground that they have had pets abducted by some of the immigrants there. We're, of course, looking into this stuff. But look, the fundamental issue here is whether they were eating geese or dogs. Is that really what we're going to hang our hat on? The problem is that this small town in Ohio has been flooded with 20,000 migrants thanks to Kamala Harris's policies.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. When we return now, we normally don't go back to things that we talked about before, but this is such national import. The question of whether Haitians are eating cats, and again, Tim, and if you don't believe that they're eating cats, since you're our number one conspiracy theorist, Tim Foyle, then it's not happening. But
well, I just pulled up an article here, HaitianReport.com. Do Haitians eat cats? The shocking truth.
Okay.
It's unfortunately many Haitians feel uncomfortable answering the question. I, on the other hand, don't have a problem. That's why I'm going to spill the beans and let you in on a little secret. Eating cat meat is not a daily activity or nationwide practice in Haiti. However, some Haitians do eat cats on December 24th.
Okay. It's your Christmas cat.
Yeah, the Christmas cat. They said it's without a. The website's a little suspicious. It's only got 2 pages of articles.
Well, that's like Kamala's policy pages, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. So here's a
slapped together hastily in after the event.
Right. So here's a post by Savannah Hernandez, and it's a picture of what purports to be a Haitian walking with an entire goose, and I believe he's in the crosswalk. So commending him for obeying the traffic laws. But she writes, still can't get over this Haitian dude walking around with an entire goose like it's freshly prepared of Chick-fil-A, bag of Chick-fil-A. We are so cooked, she says. Now, Chris just told me during the break that this was actually taken by a liberal photographer, and he's taken it off the internet at this point.
Now, also, I think it's like from 2019.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And personally, I don't mind Haitians killing geese.
Right. Sure. I'm a golfer. They're the scourge.
Yeah. Why are they a protected species? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing. It's an example of how legislation does not go away long after the problem's solved. I mean, there was a point when they're rare. Now they're should be cooked well done.
Oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, as far as that picture goes, and then I believe Chris told me that was actually that's not Springfield, Ohio. That's Columbus, Ohio. It looks like an okay neighborhood. Megan McArdle, who is a liberal, I kind of like. She wrote this book called The Upside of Down, which is about counterintuitive solutions to some problems, including like the San Diego judicial system had an experiment. This is a few years ago. I don't know how it worked out, where the drug offenders were punished quickly, but and not severely, but they were monitored like every few days or week, as opposed to the one big giant gesture of a penalty. Because what these delinquents need is like a surrogate father, surrogate parent, and a lot of times in these households, you got a mother who's working, a single mother, and she just lays down the law and severely, and it doesn't work. Now, I've just gone into an aside just to say that I like Megan McArdle's work, but her tweet over this Savannah Hernandez tweet deriding the Haitians for cooking our goose. Megan McArdle says, this is what meat looks like in its natural state. It's just that some immigrant in a slaughterhouse plucked and gutted yours so you don't have to think about what the animal looked like before you ate it. Now, Megan, I like your work, but I'm got to think that you don't live in a neighborhood like the one that's depicted here, which is not necessarily affluent. So, it's a little bit of NIMBYism. I think on her part, but what say you, Tim?
Well, we have a circus here in town that would come and they would set up in a park here in town every year, and I'd love to go to see the circus setting up. And we also they set up right by a pond where there's geese, and I remember walking like behind the trailers, and there was a whole pile of goose feathers. The
Oh my.
circus people would take care of the geese every fall. So that was I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah, sure. It's part of the ecosystem. You don't kill the spider in your doorway because otherwise the horse flies or house flies are going to come in, and you don't get rid of the carnies because they could carry your geese. I totally get that.
I really don't see pets. I don't want my pet eaten by coyotes or an immigrant a coyote brought in. So
Right. Yeah, I got that. All right. Here is, sometimes I write these things down. Okay. This is Daily Mail. I'm a duck rescuer in Ohio. Since the Springfield migrants eating pets rumor started, my phone's been ringing off the hook. Okay. That's from the Daily Mail. But here's another Megan McArdle tweet. I don't know. It's all Megan all the time in this block of the show. But I don't even remember. I sent it to Chris, and I don't even remember what it was about. So let's just take a look at it and see how we can comment on it. If Chris can conjure it up right now. Otherwise, we'll just go back to talking about cats. But Chris, do you have that? Or no? Apparently not.
We could take this gap out in post, can't we?
Okay. We'll move on then. It wasn't as awkward a moment as anything that Trump experienced a couple of days ago in front of 70 million people, so I'm fine with it. So did you see the okay, here it is. Oh, Megan McArdle. Oh yeah. This was about Friday Night Lights. And she said, did you ever watch that show? Friday Night Lights?
I never did. Were you a fan?
Oh, we just watched it a couple of years ago. I mean, and this is years after it was on. I mean, first of all, it had football, and the football action, even though it was all staged, looked genuine. Plus, beautiful 25-year-old women playing high school seniors, and you can't ask for more than that. Oh, sure. And that's how realistic that show was. But anyway, she says when Friday Night Lights was on, someone on a Slate roundtable pointed out that it was a bit of a liberal fantasy about what a Texas small town ought to be like. And basically what she's saying in this tweet is, the liberal fantasy is that you're going to have liberal people in these kind of towns, and you might have doctors and lawyers and teachers who are liberal, but basically the locals are still going to vote Republican, and that's probably what we're hoping is going to happen.
I wonder where these high schools are that are always depicted in television. They're all every girl in them looks like a cheerleader. And
they're fantastic.
And the nerdy girls are just cheerleaders with glasses.
No, hey, I loved Friday Night Lights. It was terrific. Speaking of schools, and let's get back to reality. There's a statistic about the Chicago public schools. I mean, it would be embarrassing if you didn't already expect it from Chicago public schools. 43% of Chicago public school teachers were chronically absent from work last year. And as this Jeff Orr tweets, then they're asking for a 9% raise. That is the definition of chutzpah, even worse than the kid who killed his parents and then stood in front of the court and begged for mercy because he was an orphan. Here's 43% chronically absent. I mean, that's probably almost as much as the students ditch school. I mean, you've got one school. Is it Douglas School? I went on the west side, where it used to house like 400 students, and now it's down to 30 with about one teacher for each student. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but then I can understand why
that's the ratio
would be taking off.
That's the ratio they always aspired to, wasn't it?
1-to-1. I mean, it's like private tutoring. It's homeschooling only in a school. That should be their new slogan. But I can understand why they're taking all that time off. I mean, they're superfluous. You don't need, hey, it's your turn. I'll work Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You come in Tuesdays and Thursdays for our
Well, how
30
much?
seconds.
How much? Chronically absent. Does that mean that they're taking more than their allotted sick days?
And never mind that they get a couple of months off and
Yeah,
this vacation,
they've got all
vacation.
summer off. They got 2 weeks at Christmas.
And,
they got
and
2
they,
weeks
and they
in
celebrate
the spring.
Haitian Cat Day on December 24th. So they got it all. All right. Let's quickly turn to Trump Tower. Trump Tower was cited by a judge for killing a lot of fish, apparently. The Trump Tower in Chicago. And this is a Sun-Times tweet. Trump Tower is a public nuisance that threatens the Chicago River with its cooling water intake system that illegally sucked in and killed thousands of fish over a number of years, the judge ruled this week. Now, the Sun-Times should be open about this and fully disclose that Trump Tower, as you know, is built on the site where the Chicago Sun-Times used to be, where they used to have print issues of the paper that were big enough to actually wrap one of the fish that the Trump Tower and the tower took in this Asian carp. Now, is that somebody told me that I've probably eaten Asian carp masquerading as gefilte fish on Passover, but is that an edible fish? Asian carp? Do you know? Or
I don't. I know they tried to make it edible because it was a danger. I mean, they've been trying to keep it out of the Great Lakes.
Okay.
And there's been concern that it's going to go up the Chicago River into Lake Michigan, and from there the Great Lakes are. It's a very invasive species. It's very
right.
aggressive.
So basically, Trump, as usual, providing a public service. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Stonehouse with pressure, a block. It's scooped up by the Bears. Back the other way. Jonathan Owens.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Now, Tim, you didn't watch the Bear game. Do you know what happened? Do you care?
I went through the show notes, and apparently they won.
Okay, look, that would be enough for Kamala Harris to go on for a debate question. Just go into your log cabin story. It's fine.
I was raised in a middle-class family south of Detroit in an industrial neighborhood where most people worked at the Chrysler engine plant.
I mean, if David Muir had any testicles, he would have said, hey, we didn't ask you that question, honey. That was our first question out of the box.
I actually, there are several gentlemen in Provincetown who can assure you that David Muir has testicles. So
okay, let's move right on to football. So there was so much hype going into this game about this Caleb Williams. I mean, I felt it, and he was kind of meh, which isn't bad for a rookie in his first game, even the
or a Chicago quarterback back.
Right. Hey, watch it, Freudian slip there.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about last show. So I went back into it.
Anyway, so I hear DJ Moore, who's a great receiver. He's on the sports talk show on Monday morning, Mully and Haw, and they're pretty good. They're on the, what I like to call 670 the Scoros, because George Soros is going to take over the score and make it progressive. It's already progressive. But anyway, I mean, they're okay. They're more or less even-handed. But they talked to the guy for 20 minutes and were basically trying to avoid talking about the fact that the Bears offense was horrible. and he's a wide receiver on the offense. And so they even went back to talking about Hard Knocks, which is this show that's on before the season. We even talked about it a little bit, I think, over the last few weeks. But they reverted back to Hard Knocks talk, which is obsolete now. The season's already begun. But and then, I was just wondering, why do these guys even do these talk shows? I know they used to get like a nominal fee to be on these. And this guy, Jalen Johnson, who is a terrific defender on the Bears and just signed a contract extension. I've heard him like on a Chevy commercial. I mean, unless he's doing a guy a favor, who gave him a Chevy when he came to town, he doesn't need it. And these guys are gazillionaires. They don't need to be hawking Chevys anymore. It's like, hey, Let let one of the Honey Bear cheerleaders get that gig or something. And they're not good. I mean, you remember Brett Favre and There's Something About Mary? You remember one of the most wooden performances in the history of Hollywood? I mean, really cardboard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what these guys are like when they do the commercial reads. But okay, fine.
But
fine.
you assume that there's a finite need for money. I mean,
well, sure, you're right. And it's what it probably is. It's like this is one of the accoutrements to celebrity. It's and I'm doing a commercial spot too, even though it's like, well, of course people used to appear on Johnny Carson to plug things, because all they got was the standard couple of $100 fee. So
sure,
but they were plugging stuff they would already do. But yeah, it's
it's essentially you can have the mansion, you can have the cars, you can have the wife, but then someone comes to you and goes, hey, do you want a boat? What do I have to do? Well, you have to talk in this microphone for about an hour. Okay. I'll do that for a boat.
Yeah, well, here's what I imagine is they come from very humble beginnings, and so they're never used to they always feel like the wolf is at the door. Any day that they're probably going to lose it, and so they try to pile on, while the getting's good. It's just interesting, and I'd like somebody to write a term paper on that for me.
Well, the smart ones do. The smart ones pile it on while the getting's good,
right,
because they know their career is going to be severely limited. So that and the others think that the checks are going to keep coming in that size forever. And
you don't need very many of those checks. I mean, really, to live a great life for you and your kids. I mean, some of these quarterbacks are getting like $250 million deals. It's not like it used to be where they worked in the off season.
Well, that's only 100. That's only 125 after taxes.
You're right. I mean, sure. Speaking of somebody who's still trying to make a buck, how about Hillary Clinton has a new book out? Did you see this? Yeah, Hillary has a new book out. Now, I'm still trying to wade through the Cliff's Notes to It Takes a Village. But her new book, Something Lost, Something Gained, it's out just about now. And who reads this stuff?
Nobody. Nobody.
It's not even a coffee table book.
It's a way to make a little extra income. Well, didn't she signed like a contract when her and Bill left the White House? She signed a contract with Simon and Schuster. Yeah. I think they gave her like millions.
Right. So she's got to spit these books out. Yeah, I get it. But I mean, why not just, the publisher should just say, oh, here, take the money. Goodbye. I mean, what are they getting out of this?
Does the book come with a violin?
Right. And that when Biden went down, she was volunteering to run again. That she wanted in again. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Hey, by the way, so did you see this thing where Biden put on the Trump hat for a Trump supporter? And it sounds to me like it was actually Biden's finest moment in his career, where he just showed a sense of humor and he put on a Trump hat. I mean, maybe I got it wrong, but
well, there's a couple schools of thought on why he did that. Number one,
because he hates Kamala, right?
That's one. That's one.
Okay.
That's very possible. Still a little bitter about being shown the door. Number two is he didn't know.
Okay.
Which is very plausible, because somebody said to him once, "Let's go, Brandon," and he went, "Yeah, let's go, Brandon."
Okay, all right. Maybe he's not hip to all that new nomenclature. So yeah, another question, of course, they didn't ask in the debate. Perfectly legitimate. I mean, it should have been asked. What did you know, and when did you know it about Biden? You're the last person in the room. Here's the opportunity to ask the question. How could you not ask that question of Kamala Harris in the debate? Any objective, any journalist purporting to be even close to objective would have asked that question. It's totally reasonable. Nowhere near that. Nothing.
I think that's what Trump should have done. He should have had a list of questions. Here's the questions that they're not going to ask you, Kamala, that everyone's wants to know. Yeah. And one of them was when she said her and Tim Walz both have guns. It's like, God. What kind?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Did you fashion it out of soap, as somebody said? I think. Yeah. Well, here's another fact check. She has been in favor of buybacks, which is confiscation. De facto confiscation. They let her get away with that too. Mandatory
buybacks.
Yeah,
not just the things that the police departments do that collect murder weapons every so often.
Unbelievable. And it's the funny thing is that if she actually were inching toward the center, she might be palatable to more people. Everybody believes she's lying. Nobody believes she's done. That they're going to find as many holes as possible in any legislation, which will never get passed anyway, about immigration. What do you think Biden was doing the last 3.5 years, as Trump mentioned in the last 20 seconds of the debate? So, I'm just Oh, do we have the Jim Pethokoukis sound tweet that I sent you, Chris, about what Kamala Harris should do? He says that Kamala Harris should do her own version of those lengthy Perot commercials from 1992, talking about her economic policy with charts and everything. Give her theory of the economic case and how her ideas fit. And I was just thinking, there's the tweet right there. I was just thinking, I don't want Kamala Harris saying giant sucking sound. I don't know. How about you, Tim?
I don't know. That's her resume, isn't it?
I guess so. Those are her. That's her log cabin story. Action on the log. Oh my God. So, all right. Real quickly here. Are you watching Perfect Couple on Netflix by any chance?
I am not.
Okay. It's a poor man's White Lotus, as far as I'm concerned, which maybe you didn't see either.
I didn't see that one either. No.
It's Nicole Kidman, murder story on the beach, rich people. But there was one quick moment there, like in the first episode, where these snobs, this snobbish Nicole Kidman, they're talking down to this down to earth bride to be, and she's being criticized by the rich snobs for not liking Tom Wolfe, like the Bonfire of the Vanities. And I'm thinking, this must be a joke, because Tom Wolfe criticized rich snobs like the ones that are hiding behind him. Maybe this whole thing is just a spoof, like a Revolutionary Road. You may have remembered that one, DiCaprio.
Maybe they thought it was more romance than satire.
Yeah, something like that, because like Revolutionary Road, actually the book glorified suburban life, didn't pillory it, but Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio misinterpreted the whole thing. Well, okay. It takes a village. I'm going to get back to the Cliff's Notes. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.